Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember that this is my second session teaching you audit and assurance. Those basics that you need for you to be thorough in your auditing and assurance paper and the advanced one as well. Even the advanced one, the AAA, you still need these few basics. So in my lecture 2, I will concentrate on two great things: how to differentiate between the two words, audit and assurance. I'll also be able to look at, or rather, let me just share whatever that I'm doing here. Let me just share whatever that I'm doing here. Whatever that I'm doing here, I just want to share whatever that I'm doing here for you to be able to see. Now, so lecture 2, lecture 1 is over, and I'll be able to share with you the lecture 1, yeah. And actually, lecture 1, I should not share it with you. I would want you to become my students by paying us some fees, right? So lecture 2, we are looking at concept of assurance and ISAs. All right? All right. So remember, ISA stands for International Standards on Auditing. These are the standards that we use while carrying out our audit exercise. Remember, lesson number 1 will introduce to the paper audit and assurance, and I was able to tell you that audit and assurance is just like any project. When I'm given some assignment to do, I'm given, for example, White Sands Hotel in Mombasa to audit as 𝐬𝐿𝐿 𝐂𝐿. Remember, I ran a licensed audit firm in Kenya. So I've been given, ladies and gentlemen, here to audit, for instance, White Sands Hotel in Mombasa. Then that is a unique project. So for any project, even outside audit, there are 3 key steps. Any project must be planned very well, must be executed very well, and then, of course, we must have what we call a reporting framework. So, for example, if it is White Sands, then I will be able to plan the audit, all right? I'll be able to scope the work, all right? Then I go into execution. Execution, I'll be gathering evidence. Yeah, a lot of evidence. I will be very, very skeptical. Remember, an auditor, you are called upon to be very, very skeptical as you do your work. And then, of course, you are supposed to have what we call a questioning mind when you are gathering this audit evidence. So skepticism is where you doubt everything you're being told. Someone tells you that, our depreciation last year was 10 million, not a problem, but you see, I don't trust you. Can I compute it myself? Just give me the policy that you used. Give me your property, plant, and equipment register, and then I do the recomputation. I must do a lot of inquiries. Even when you tell me, for example, that the useful life of this tractor is 12 years, I would want to know the basis you used to come up with the useful life. I can even, in this case here, talk to the manufacturer to ask whether the manufacturer, of course, with the permission of the client, to ask whether the manufacturer, when they are releasing these kind of assets to their customers, whether they're able to specify the useful life. Remember, it's just an approximation because, again, the useful life will really be dependent on the usage. So I must have a questioning mind. During this execution, ladies and gentlemen, I'm executing, in this case here, for instance, remember the substantive procedures. I'll be discussing with you in detail what substantive procedures are. We normally use the acronym 𝐴, Yeah, 𝐴, I'm executing. Stands for analytical procedures, where I take, for example, financial statements for the last 3 years, and then I do ratios, and then I observe the trends. That is analytical procedures. Then we have A. A is inquiries and third-party confirmations. So, for example, when you tell me that in the bank last year you had, say, 30 million Kenya shillings, during execution, I'm doing now the audit, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be able to, first of all, get a written confirmation that you had 30 million Kenya shillings as your last year's end of year cash balance. No problem. Please give me this written letter, which I'll be able to file as a working paper. But I will still tell you, Even if I'm inquiring this from you, as an auditor, the quality evidence for me is what I gather from outsiders. So then I will request you as my client to allow me to talk to your bank. Write a letter to the bank requesting to get the bank statements, to get the bank balances. All right. So I'm executing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now doing the work. I'm digging. At the end of the day, once I dig, this AEO will come in later, the inspections, observations, and recalculation. Those will come in later, don't worry. So I'm executing the work. I gather the evidence that is supposed to be gathered, and then I sit down in my office, which is, of course, based at Westlands, Havenscott, right? And then, of course, I think through, given the evidence that I have, what kind of an assurance report do I give these people? Do I give the people who engaged me, like the shareholders of this hotel? Do I give them, in this case here, or rather the opinion that I give, ladies and gentlemen, will it be unqualified? And be able to explain what that means. Will it be a qualified opinion? Will it be a disclaimer? Because if I go to the hotel and then the hotel people are not cooperative, they're not able to give me information, then I will be able to come and say that I was not able to form an opinion. So I disclaim. It's called a disclaimer. I'll be able to look at that. But ladies and gentlemen, any audit that you are given has three basic steps. Of course, apart from those preambles, there are preambles, the etiquette issues in audit. So for example, when I get an audit, I should be able to talk to the outgoing auditor. All right. I can't just take an audit engagement without talking to the outgoing auditor, etc. But the main things here are this audit process is normally structured just like any project. There must be planning, there must be execution, and then there must be reporting. These stages are normally guided by audit frameworks and regulations that we shall be able to discuss. The key concepts. When we talk of assurance versus audit, not many students, ladies and gentlemen, are able to differentiate between these two terms. Not many. I normally struggle with these two terms, even when I'm trying to explain them to my employees in my office, because there we train people from the first principles until they become good auditors. So we have here assurance versus audit. So in this case here, the meaning, audit is an activity involving probing. Probing means asking intense questions and the evidence gathering to support a conclusion. Yeah, we are gathering evidence for us to be able to support a conclusion. And in most cases, audit, not in most cases, but all cases, audit is normally done over financial statements. We audit financial statements. How about assurance? Assurance now is the confidence or comfort derived from the audit. As I'm doing this audit, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm gathering this evidence, then there will be that comfort that will be derived from this particular audit. The outcome is what we call assurance. Now, please, ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. When, for example, you tell me to carry out an audit, I've been given this assignment by the shareholders of White Sands Hotel. Yeah. Why, first of all, are they giving me this work as an independent practitioner? They're giving this work to 𝐬𝐼 𝐂𝐿, which is a registered audit firm that is independent, simply because, remember, the shareholders could be very many. The shareholders could be like 50,000, and all of them will not be able to move around the hotel to manage it. It will be chaotic management. So then what that would mean is that a few of these people, a few of these shareholders, even some outsiders, will be appointed to form the management board, the management of the company. Yeah, out of 50,000, so they appoint, say, 10 people only to come and oversee the day-to-day running of the business. 10 directors. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we happen to be knowing one thing for sure, that all human beings are greedy. All human beings are greedy. Is there any individual here who is not greedy? Thank you so much, Henry. Great. Is there anybody in this room who can raise their hand and tell me that Mwalimu, me, I'm not greedy? Teacher, I'm not greedy. Could you kindly just raise those guys who are very selfless? Very selfless. It's not easy, ladies and gentlemen, because greatness is about admiring. You simply, in this case here, you are walking around, you are in the salon yesterday, your hair was made very, very nicely, but when you are walking on the road, you will see another baby girl whom you think has a better hairstyle than yours. You feel like immediately you would want a change. If you could afford even tomorrow, you would have gone in this case here for a makeover. So that admiring, wanting very good things is what we call greed. Is what we call greed. All right. Now, gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very, very well. Listen and listen to me very, very well. Even, for example, when you are employed, you are given, for example, 40,000 Kenya shillings, and you thought, hey, this is a lot of money for only a month. After that, you started, feeling like I would want more. When you put your, in this case here, knees down to pray, and of course your employer listened to you, they gave you 100,000 again, you were just happy like for 2-3 months. After that, for sure, you wanted more salary. So you will never be satisfied, and that is life. So these 10 people that we have appointed to manage this hotel on our behalf, chances are, because of the greediness, they may want to misappropriate the assets of the hotel, and they become what here? Their own. They may want to pay themselves unjustifiably high salaries. They may want, for example, to use the cars of the hotel given to them for their personal gain. That is life. And that is why we would want to put in what we call controls to ensure that those directors are not able to do what to misbehave. So then, ladies and gentlemen, when in this case here you come and appoint Aura and Co to audit this hotel, you as shareholders, what do you want? I will be able to get the financial statements done by these particular directors because it is their role to do financial statements. They do the financial statements, and then they are given to me as an independent practitioner to look at these financial statements, and then I give an opinion. My opinion, given that I'm independent, those directors now will be able to have some comfort. When I tell them these financial statements are okay, they'll be able to have some kind of what here, assurance now from an independent person. So whenever we talk of assurance, ladies and gentlemen, remember this is the outcome of an audit. The two terms are really, really related. They're very, very close. They're very, very close. They're very, very close. What you're supposed to know is that audit is deeper. All right. Assurance, the service, assurance covers a lot. Yeah. On the service level, yeah. Because remember, even audit itself is part of what here is part of assurance. So assurance is broader. But at the end of the day, audit now you come and zero in the financial statements. So for audit, you are going down like this, deep, in-depth investigation of what here financial statements to discover whether there are errors, frauds, etc. But at the end of the day, as an auditor, you'll be required to give an opinion. So that opinion is now what will be assuring. So you'll get in this case here, the current shareholder saying, now we are okay. Those guys have not been stealing from us. Even people who are outside, people who have not invested in the company can also find now comfort from my opinion to buy shares of this company. Up to here, ladies and gentlemen, somehow, are we really together up to here with that explanation? Are we, ladies and gentlemen, together? Are you able to understand something here? I don't know how it happens during our days. During our days, when I wanted to marry, like I remember myself, when I wanted to marry, ladies and gentlemen, I would even go and ask my friends, how do you see this girl? Then they will tell me, this girl, Others, of course, will not tell you that, but you'll always get that one person who will be able to open up and tell you, hey, this girl is like this. So you see, I'm now getting assurance from a third party because there are things that I can't get to see very well. All of us, ladies and gentlemen, for example, when you want to buy something, I'm so sure you guys must have shopped online. You want to buy something, for example, from Amazon. What do? You go to the reviews. So I want to buy a TV. So I want to see, in this case here, the 5-star reviews. I keep on clicking on them. So first of all, I just read through all the reviews to get that comfort, to get that assurance. But of course, it's not lost on me that some of these reviews could be cooked up. So in that case, then I want now to check the in-depth. So how do I check the in-depth? Now I start straight away going to like individual reviews, very highest, very lowest. So I click on them. So when I click on those reviews, there are people who are very good with giving photos. Someone will be able to give a photo that I bought this from this particular supplier, and this is what I got with a photo, broken glass, broken screen, nothing really. So in that case, then I'm now doing auditing because I've started now doing an investigation. Now, a very good example, reading reviews on Amazon is assurance seeking. When I'm reading, when I'm reading them, I'm assurance seeking. I want to see, in this case here, we're saying what? So reading them deeply, reading each one of them, it should have read here, reading each one of them deeply is the audit activity. Imagine you want to buy a laptop on Amazon. You are unsure if the seller's claims about the laptop are true. So the seller says, this laptop is brand new, original, and has a 10-hour battery life. So you want to be confident before spending your money. So step one, what do? You go to the reviews, you read reviews, you go through reviews written by other buyers who already purchased the laptop. Some say, yes, battery really lasts 10 years. Happy customers. Others say the product is genuine and works perfectly. All right. So this is like an assurance. I'm now being assured, I'm getting comfort from many people giving testimonies. You are seeking confidence. You are seeking confidence that what the seller says is likely to be true based on independent feedback. Based on independent feedback. Step number 2, you now get to check one review deeply. You find one detailed review where the buyer shows a screenshot, posts photos of the unboxing to show it's original, lists serial numbers and confirms with the manufacturer, explains how they tested it step by step. This is like an audit. It's a thorough investigation or examination of specific claims with evidence to verify the seller's statements. Putting it in context, audit versus assurance, ladies and gentlemen. So we are told in terms of purpose, assurance is to make users feel confident in the information. Financial statements or facts in detail. For us, it's about verification of specific financial statement items. Level of depth, this is normally general confidence, may rely on sample summaries, etc. Audit is very deep and detailed, checking with procedures, tests, and standards. Example, raw, reading many reviews to judge if the product is reliable. Then here we have one reviewer doing in-depth testing and showing what here, showing proofs of assurance. You are gaining confidence from independent, reliable sources, not just the seller. Audit, someone is going deep to verify specific facts with the evidence like a super reviewer, like a super reviewer that we shall be calling what, ladies and gentlemen? That we shall be calling the independent auditor. So you'll be able to read that summary because I'll be able to attach this for you so that you guys later on, you will be able to even understand this better. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want to come to the conclusion of this. The most important thing you're supposed to appreciate is that audit is all about what for us now here is all about financial statements being investigated over there. And then we give an opinion as to whether those financial statements portray a true or a fair view. I'll be able to explain that later on. And the audit we are doing, and this in-depth examination is being done by an independent auditor, an independent practitioner. Assurance now can be about anything. Can be about anything. Yeah, like an expert checks a company's carbon emissions report to give confidence to investors that it is true and reliable. So all audits are assurance, but not all assurances are audits. We'll be able to understand this even more as we progress. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen. Oh, I can see charts. I can see charts. Let me see what those charts are about. Nothing much really. I expected maybe somebody to say that in the current environment, when a boy wants a girl to marry, that you don't work with assurances. But you guys be very honest with me. The boys who are around here, do we work with some comfort from some people? Or we just go ahead and marry and then, of course, wait for outcomes? Does that thing still apply, or nowadays it's just talk like that, tomorrow you're married? Do you still have to get some kind of assurance? Yeah, please talk to me. The boys who are around here, please talk to me. Oh, they don't. I like that. Okay. But at least, ladies and gentlemen, as I continue, you guys now are able somehow to differentiate between assurance and audit. That will be a key deliverable for me. That will be a key deliverable for me. Joseph, that is very good. That's very good. It's important, yes. It's important, yes. It's important, yes. Like during our days, if I brought a girl home and my mom said no, that would be the end of it. I would not force things. But nowadays, it's quite terrible, right? If a parent you start coming on the way, even if you would want to give some comfort to your son, I mean, it will be trouble. You can even be killed, right? But we shall overcome. We shall overcome. So can I go on, ladies and gentlemen? I would want to get you can I go on, ladies and gentlemen? Can I go on, ladies and gentlemen? Can I go on, ladies and gentlemen? Great, great. And then here, we are given importance of assurance. Why would you want, in this case here, these assurances to be done? And remember, audit is part of what here? This assurance. So shareholders, owners do not run the business. Who does? It is the directors. The directors do. So directors are agents. Shareholders receive financial statements annually, typically at the AGM. To gain confidence in these reports, they must appoint auditors. Auditors assess financial statements and issue an assurance report. What is known as what here? An audit opinion. So why is this assurance important? Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to explain something that is really critical, which you need to understand for you to understand audit and assurance very well. Why do businesses need these assurance reports? For so many reasons. I gave you an example of shareholders of, say, Kenya Airways. There could be many of them, maybe millions of them. There is no way those millions of shareholders will be able to sit here in Nairobi to manage Kenya Airways. So they have to appoint, like, say, only 5 managers from themselves. So 5 directors, they go sit down in an annual general meeting. They say, Dr. Joshua Aura, so and so, you guys stay here in Nairobi, manage that business. And I told you these 5 people may want to enrich themselves. Everybody is greedy. So then we need a situation where when these 5 Directors here produce financial statements. We need a third party who is not a shareholder, who is not a director, a third party. And this third party should be very independent. And I'll be able to show you the key components of independence. For us to say that you are independent, then what and what and what and what and what do you need? So basically, when this independent auditor does his business, he is able to give a comfort. When he looks at the financial statements and he is able to sign them up, he is able to give some kind of comfort to the shareholders. So the shareholders now will know that their business is being run very, very well. Please, you shall never take audit the way people take audit in Kenya. Out there, audit is taken very, very seriously. Like just the other week, of course, I don't mention my clients. The other week, I got a primary school, a very good primary school, engaging our firm, 𝐬𝐿 𝐂𝐿, to do external audit for them. Yeah, we signed a letter of engagement, which is the contract between us and the school. Now, after signing like that, ladies and gentlemen, of course, now straight away, forgetting about the other things, I will seek for what we call an entry meeting. I would want to understand the school more. Who is the CEO? Who is the CFO? All right. Who are the accountants? Who is the chairman of the audit committee? Because I'll be dealing with the chairman of the audit committee most of the times. If they don't have, no problem. I'll be dealing with the director of finance. So you see here straight away, there was in that school and 𝐬𝐿 𝐂𝐿, there was what here? Misunderstanding, expectations gap. So when we started going over there to ask for information, first of all, the accountants there, I mean, whenever they saw us, most of the times they were running away or pretending to be very busy, not to really give us what here in information. So I did like that. I went there twice, nothing is forthcoming. You see, me, I'm still charging my hours. Yeah, and then of course now, you have to read, or rather write a suggested opinion. You write to the owners. You tell the owners, in this case here, you know what? I'm going to issue a disclaimer of opinion. So then the owner was very, very much surprised. Why disclaimer? And of course, I had to explain to him what the disclaimer means. So I told him automatically that a disclaimer means that, when you hire me as an auditor, you need to give a 360 degrees view of things. I should not do 270 and then you say, here, you can't now watch this. No. When I'm your auditors, ladies and gentlemen, it's 360. When I want board minutes, those have to be given to me. When I want your employment policy to see how employment was done, that has to be given to me. So here I am coming to your office twice. Nobody wants to give me nothing. Audit is all about the evidence that I collect. So, sir, I was not able to collect any evidence. And because of that, now the disclaimer of opinion is here. I can't claim to have done work here. So, and this is my invoice. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is a high time we start looking at audit as a value adding activity. So don't think that when I come in as an auditor, maybe that guy thought that I would just go outside there and cook accounts, and then give them what here. It is not during this time when things are really interconnected. This 𝐸teams thing is coming to clear most of those bad things that used to happen before. The next step with 𝐸teams is to connect your 𝐸teams account with your bank. And now everything, even 𝐸teams will be able to generate. You'll be told in this case, when you withdraw money from the bank, be doing these narrations. When you do that, 𝐸teams, the auto population, that is where now we are getting here. You'll only be given your financial statements, which are like extracts by KRA itself, telling you what, you just go ahead and now do any small amendment. Of course, it can't now be much amendments, because if you do like in Sweden, if you do like more than 10% of the amendments, then a red flag is raised. All right. So in this case here, whenever we are doing assurance, whenever you're seeking for auditor services, there is a lot, because when this auditor comes to look at the operations, ladies and gentlemen, this guy has got a very good lens. It'll be able to identify this and this, and in a management letter, it will tell you that you need to improve this and this. So we give not only the comfort to the people who gave us the job, but we also strive to improve your processes. We strive to improve your internal control systems. Even when, for example, you would need a loan from a bank, the bankers would tell you, hey, give us audited report. All right? And so many other advantages. And that is why I don't like really people telling me mwalimu or auditor would want you to go through these shortcuts. No, there are so many advantages of you working with an auditor, of course, who knows your business very well. There is quite a lot, because as we are lucky, because you audit so many businesses. So we know where, if you go wrong, your company will not be able to enjoy longevity. So there are so many advantages. But ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing that I would want you to go home with today is this, that we have shareholders, and then we have people running the business, directors, who are our agents. We want to have a harmonious way of these guys working. Most of the times, from the number of times I've been auditing businesses, I know that one of the killer of these businesses is the infighting between the shareholders and the directors. You get like every year, when we go to the AGM, there are some 2 or 3 directors who must be sacked. And you'll get shareholders saying, now we are very happy because so and so has gone. So if so and so has gone, what does that mean? You're bringing in new people every time. That automatically adds to high labor turnover. Yeah. These new people, you thought they were angels, come next year, you are again getting them off like circus. It's chaotic. It's chaotic. All right. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you bring in an auditor, then you will be able to have some comfort between the two. Yeah. If it's very serious that these guys are really stealing, then of course the auditor will be able to recommend the same, and things will not now go very well. But in most cases, the two parties fight because of misunderstandings, because of not having the proper financial reporting framework. Because as an auditor, I will ensure from day one, all right, especially if you renew my next year's engagement, because now I've been able to see from this year's engagement, I've been able to see the loophole. So from next year, I'll be able to come in a little bit like during the interim and do some work, etc. So it will be very important, ladies and gentlemen, as an auditor, please listen. This auditor, now that a lot of faith is being put on your shoulders with the other shareholders and the other stakeholders in total, please remember you're supposed to be very independent, especially from the directors. Don't go and get yourself joined at the hip with these directors. The moment you get co-joined, then you start, in this case here, eating things together, then that will be very, very sad situation. All right? Because what I know, an auditor is supposed to be a watchdog. If you go to hunt, when you have a watchdog, the watchdog will run after a rabbit, kill that rabbit, and then it comes back and tells you, hey, I've killed that rabbit. It pulls you there, tells you this is a rabbit, go home, cook it. And then, of course, a portion of the cooked meat is given to this watchdog. So you are the auditor. We have sent you to these directors. Yeah, you should be a watchdog. Go over there and ensure that our assets are safeguarded. Everything is good. So should you discover in this case that there is theft, you must go back and report to the shareholders. Yeah, don't be part and parcel of theft going on with those directors. No, you go back and report. If these shareholders feel that they need to slaughter that, whatever that will be recovered, because now, because of you, of course, the theft which was going on there has been discovered, there'll be savings. So they can easily give you, although not a must, but they can easily give you cooked meat. But you shall never be a bloodhound. Blood is the normal blood, and then the hound is HOUND. A bloodhound, go with it to some, in this case here, to some hunting exercise. The bloodhound knows how to run very fast, and it normally kills very many targeted animals, kills that rabbit. But now the funny thing with it, Once it kills, it eats everything. And then it comes back to the hunter smiling, showing the hunter how everything has been very sweet. Now it has blood oozing all over the mouth like that. So there are auditors like that. They go chasing after these people. When they get them, for example, they have stolen 100 million, the auditor will ask for their cut. So you're given like, actually you get even a bigger cut, like even 50 million. And then now the auditor will be there at the AGM saying how the financial statements are good and how even the directors are, even a question that they were not asked. Nobody has asked you whether the directors are bad or good. You're now going to answer that question that these directors are what year? They're excellent. All right. I would want to post there and ask, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to get feedback. Are you guys able to follow what I'm talking about? Are you guys able to follow what I'm talking about somehow? Hmm? All right. Thank you so much. Then I continue. So then we have elements of any assurance engagement, and I've told you audit is part of the assurance engagement. Remember, an assurance engagement, for it to be valid, it must always have 5 elements. It must always have 5 elements. You must forget about everything. You may forget about everything, but you shall never forget the elements of an assurance engagement. An assurance engagement has 5 elements, which are this. There must be the subject matter. What is being audited? In this case here, the subject matter that we're going to, which is taking us that company to audit it, it is the financial statements. There must be the subject matter. Number 2, there must be a criteria. There must be a framework against which I'll be auditing those financial statements. I'm not going to audit those financial statements in a vacuum. No, there must be a framework, the criteria. So the framework used to evaluate the subject matter, which in our case is the famous International Financial Reporting Standards. So I'll be asking myself, if these guys have had a provision for some legal services, have they followed the IFRS framework? If they have, good. If they have not, bad. All right. All right. So then there must be evidence, because audit is all about making an opinion, and you can't make an opinion haphazardly. You will need evidence. So evidence, audit work to gather sufficient and appropriate evidence. And then at the end of the day, there must be reporting. There must be an assurance report, the conclusion expressed by the auditor. And then lastly, we have the concept of tripartite. Yeah, tripartite. 3 parties. Tripartite. 3 parties. 3 parties. So 3 parties must always be involved. Number 1, we have the party that is responsible of making these financial statements, the directors, or what we are calling the management. That is a responsible party. And then we have the practitioner, the auditor, who is Aura and Co. And then we have the intended users, the ones who have engaged us now to go and do an audit of those financial statements. So these are the primary shareholders. Primarily, they are shareholders, also investors, regulators, etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe up to there we are okay. I just want to finish this whole chapter. Yeah, I mean, I'm left with very few pages. Then we have types of assurance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please, as much as we would want to give people comfort, there is no way in audit you will be able to give what we call absolute assurance. Absolute means what? Yeah, 100%. I'm assuring you 100%. Then that automatically would mean that you are a witch doctor. Even witch doctors, at times in this case here, they cheat. Not even at times, all the times. There is nobody who will be able to give 100% assurance, absolute assurance, because if I'm to give absolute assurance, it means that I'm auditing the total population. I'm carrying out what we call a census. And remember, as we're going to see as we progress, ladies and gentlemen, audit is all about sampling. We sample something small, then from whatever conclusion we get from this sample, we generalize it. We say because this sample of 3 are showed as good things, that all these other 100 are good. So because there is some guesswork there, it will be wrong of me to say that I'm giving you absolute assurance. It's not possible. Even the case of the girl. I mean, there are many times in this case here, people will tell you that this girl is very good. But when somebody takes that girl in this case, how do you get to know somebody just over just a span of a talk of an hour, 2 hours? And you tell us you've known that girl. What have you known about that girl? Even myself, when I come to audit, perhaps I'll spend in the organization just 1 month. An organization that has been there for 30 years, there is very little. Of course, I'll try as much as possible to have a deep understanding, but it cannot happen that I'm giving absolute assurance. That can never happen. So basically, whenever it comes to assurance, we shall have 2 types of assurances. We have positive and what we call negative. I'll come back to reasonable later, but we have what we call positive assurance, and then we have in this case here what we call negative assurance. So remember, this positive assurance is a high level of assurance, not 100%, not absolute, but it's a high level of assurance expressed when an auditor performs sufficient work to conclude whether the financial statements are true and fair. When I do sufficient work, when I'm able to collect sufficient, appropriate audit evidence, then I'll be able to give, ladies and gentlemen, what we call a high level assurance, which is what here positive. Positive. So it is common in external statutory audits. Example, the financial statements give a true and fair view. So whenever I'm doing audit of financial statements, then I will be able to give, ladies and gentlemen, what we call a positive assurance. So under a positive assurance, I'm telling the whole world that the financial statements provide what here a true and fair view. Yeah, they provide. That is a positive assurance. Yeah, they provide a true and fair view. And listen to this. Negative assurance. When does it work? This negative assurance, I mean, we are looking at what we call limited level of assurance. It's some kind of a comfort I'm giving you, but very little. Very little. Because also the time you gave me to do the work was also very little. The resources you are giving me to do the work are very little. All right. So I'll be able to give you what we call negative assurance. It is expressed when no substantial issues were found during limited review. The review was really limited because the resources were scarce, no time, no nothing. So in this case here, I'm going to give you this opinion. I'm going to give you this assurance when we have what we call a limited review. There is less work performed. So this is how these will read. Nothing has come to our attention that indicates misstatements. So for example, when you give me a budget to review, your bank has come to you, told you, you gave us these documents, and these documents, we were supposed to rely on them to give you a loan, but the budget doesn't make a lot of sense. Can you kindly take this to the auditors to have a review? So of course, when you run to us, you're running panting because you are taking a loan for some purposes. You really needed that money, not yesterday, but today, or rather not tomorrow, but today. So even when you come to us, you don't want to give us lots of time to look at that budget very well. You simply want that budget reviewed and a conclusion given almost immediately. So I'll tell you, I'll only be able to give what we call limited assurance. So under limited assurance, I can't say that the budget here portrays a true and a fair view. I can't say that. Under limited review, given what duration you have been given and many other things, I may not be able to put in adequate tests as an auditor to be able to gather sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. So if it's limited review, given the few hours I'll take on your document, I will say, given the few hours I took on the document, there is nothing that has come to us which makes us believe that the budget is not okay. Nothing has come to our attention to make us doubt the budget. So it's a limited review. I always report in the negative. There is nothing. So there'll be negativity there. There is nothing that has come to our attention that makes us, ladies and gentlemen, not trust this particular financial statements. When I look at these things deeply, because audit is one area that I'm really passionate about, yeah, and that is why I really wonder even students, when it comes to choosing their papers, most of them don't choose audit and assurance, those optional papers. Audit is very good. All accountants should be auditors first, because through audit you learn a lot. You learn how to do the financial statements. You learn the tax matters. Like when I go to KRA to present my clients at the tribunal, I feel nice. And I would not have learned all that without audit experience. So when I look at this audit, ladies and gentlemen, all right, assuming in this case here, somebody comes and tells you, hey, I saw a thief getting inside there, that house. I saw a thief getting into that house. And then now they want your comfort. They want your assurance. What kind of assurances will you be able to give in different circumstances? So the first circumstance will be, I take the boldness in me. I gather all the boldness in me. I get into the house, check every room, maybe armed with a rungu. Check every room. So if I go and check every room, under the tables, under the mattresses, all over, and then now I'm satisfied that there is nobody here, then I'll be able to give a positive assurance because I've done something. There is some work I've done. I've gotten inside there and I've done something. I've been able to sweat, because you can imagine running after a thief inside a house who could be armed. It's not an easy. There is work to be done there. There is sweat to be broken there. So then when I come out of that room, given that I've done thorough research, I'll be able to give you what we call a positive assurance. There is nobody inside there. But of course, being the me, I don't think I can risk that much to get, in this case here, where? Inside. So the very best I will do is to, maybe if we are close by, I'll go to my balcony and then I tell you, give me an hour. My balcony, just overlooking your house. Give me an hour. So now from my house, about 500 meters, I'll be monitoring to see whether there is anybody who is coming out or whether there are movements there. You see, I've not done much other than stretching just my hand and holding on to some comfortable things over there. I'm just observing. So then when you tell me to give you assurance because I've done very little work, yeah. So when I say in this case here that there is no body inside there, I don't have that evidence. All right. I've not done thorough investigation. So in that case here, I can only reckon the fact that my review is very limited. Short time. You haven't allowed me to get inside the house. And even if you allowed me, my instincts are telling me, hey, Dr. Aura, you'll be killed. I would rather watch this from afar. I'm just watching like this. So my review is very limited. So the only kind of then conclusion I'll be able to give you, which is limited assurance, it's some form of comfort fine. Because I mean, that 1 hour has not been wasted. So I will say that there is nothing that has come to my attention. There is nothing that has come to my attention to make me think that there is somebody inside that house. All right. So we shall continue, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, in this case, you're talking about this, but I want you to know as we progress, we have in this case here 2 types of assurances. We have a high-level assurance. A high-level assurance is what we call positive, a positive assurance, where I'm able to dig something, I'm able to work. Then I give you a positive assurance saying that the financial statements are portraying a true and fair view. or in this case here, ladies and gentlemen, especially for like this prospective financial information, futuristic financial information. I mean, apart from the assumption that it will give me that I'll be able to review, it will be very, very hard for me to dig information and ascertain the correctness of prospective financial information, futuristic information like budgets, etc. So that one, I would rather provide what we call a negative assurance. Now then from there, we have number 6 here, reasonable versus what we call absolute assurance. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance based on significant testing and sampling. Significant, not 100%, significant. Absolute assurance is not possible because absolute assurance is giving you 100% a comfort that these directors are not thieves. It's not possible due to time constraints, use of sampling, because I'm not doing a census, I'm doing sampling, limitations in internal controls. Key principle, auditors never provide absolute assurance, never. Never. We normally provide what we call reasonable assurance. It cannot be negative, of course. Why? Because remember, you're doing some work as auditors. We're doing some work there. We're doing some work there. Ladies and gentlemen, as I get to my last area, I would want to know whether we are still together this far. Are we still together this far, ladies and gentlemen? Are we still together? It's like there is a lot of quietness in the house. All right. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, today I will only mention something to do with materiality, but I will not be able to compute it for you today. Today I'll not be able to show you how to compute the materiality thresholds. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk of materiality, this determines what is significant in the financial statements. There will be insignificant items and there will be significant items. So something is called material if it is significant. It's called material if it is able to influence decisions that are being made by the shareholders and everybody. Yeah, if a figure is very, very small, we'll say that is immaterial. Audit normally focuses only on material items due to practical constraints. Materiality can be quantified and is normally fundamental to audit planning, because we shall be able to say, hey, that one during planning stage, we are putting this materiality. If something is above this, we audit it. If it's below, then that is really minute for us, immaterial. So materiality is also very important whenever you are evaluating misstatements, the errors are the ones we call misstatements, and when you are forming the audit opinion. That I will be able, ladies and gentlemen, to bring this to your attention to you, because there is a whole chapter which talks about materiality. So for you, focus in your exam as you study, you must be able to know this positive reasonable assurance provided by external statutory auditors. And then, of course, you shall be able to look at the internal audits. You as an internal auditor, I mean, there is the kind of assurances that you shall be providing. Otherwise, for those of you who have not registered with the RCM, you do not know what you are missing. Get into our classes. So for any inquiries, call our number 0719 525 000. We offer CPA. We have this new course for public sector accountants. We call it CPFM. Very good. We have ACCA. We have CPA, of course. We have ATD, comes like that. For any inquiries, call us 0719 525,000. Thank you so much, and bye-bye for today. So I'll be calling you for lesson number 3 later, but now that will be in the paid up classes for the students who have paid us. Otherwise, thank you very much. Be blessed. Bye.